Greetings, everybody. It is the day after my birthday, and here is one of my fabulous shirts that I got from Ellen. Is that beautiful or what, huh? It's all flowers up and down. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, this is one of those Tommy Bahama things that's, it's a travel shirt, you know, it doesn't wrinkle, you can roll it up in a ball. It wicks dry real fast, resists water, etc., etc. The only thing the problem I'm going to be having here is that I have two really nice Hawaiians that Ellen gave me for birthday, and, well, I don't know whether it was Boogaloo Boys or who it is. There's some white supremacist group that had taken to wearing these Hawaiian shirts, these aloha shirts, and, well, I got a trip to North Carolina to visit an old friend sometime this year, and of course this is a travel shirt. And I'm coming from Hawaii, I suppose, you know, I should be wearing the thing, hey, aloha everybody, and then they're all gonna think I'm a Boogaloo Boy white supremacist because I got a Hawaiian shirt on. Oh boy, what do you know? Right, Gracie? Huh? People are strange. Gracie knows it's just a shirt. Yeah, I got a few thumbs down on some of the videos I did there recently that, you know, had to do with potential assassinations, Joe Biden dying in office, and then me being called innocent. That's, oh God, that one still gets me. Got a phone call from British Columbia this morning. Gentleman, viewer, wishing me a happy birthday. I had gotten to the video for my birthday one day late. He thought it was today, but that's okay. You know, we make a week-long celebration out of this stuff. You know, as we get closer to the end, these birthdays actually get to be more than just one more trip around the sun. Yeah, most of us will say, wow, this is special. I made another one. Yeah. You know, so really, the main reason I turned the camera on today, it's all about microbiome, about the gut biome, okay? I'm literally floored by what's happened, okay? Now, get all this straightened out. I have never been the world's most cheery person. This is true. I've had my problems with depression, darkness, you know. Usually it's reactive to some situation in life. You usually say, oh, yeah, Bill lost his farm, his family fell apart, and he went through divorce. He looks terrible. You know, it's usually like that. That's most of the time. Yeah, we'll break up of love affairs, yeah. This usually sends me down. I'm bad for that. Yeah. So I usually have some sort of reason. Now, this COVID thing, that was a new one because, you know, I'm used to thinking of mental illness or depression, anxiety as being a mental state. Yeah. And so if you're going to fix it, you know, you're going to work with your thoughts. But when I contracted COVID and picked it up a second time and had double whammy on it, it was clear that I was suffering from long haul. I was losing interest in so many things that had been important to me for so long. Yeah, again, back to thinking about shutting down the channel, shut down the nursery. Don't want nothing to do with anything. It's all too much work. You know, and I could realize there was something wrong with me. I knew that. But, like I said, when I looked into this, all I could find was, you know, fecal transplants as far as people trying to restore a lost gut biome. This is something that, as a resident of Wisconsin with all the dairy cows, I was very familiar with. You know, if a cow loses its ruminant bacteria, they have to give it a fecal transplant from some other cow. You get the idea what that means. Yeah, you're taking crap from one animal and you're putting it in another, and that brings the culture back, and then the rumen starts to work and they can digest their food. But, you know, humans, well, now it wasn't long ago And I probably said this before. It must have been 20 years back. I was reading the National Geographic magazine. Yeah, I was reading this National Geographic, and it was all about the gut biome. It was about all the organisms that we had discovered that live inside and with the human body that benefit us, that without those organisms we will not be healthy. And so we have literally thousands and thousands of them that live in us. And, well, old time science and medicine was, take antibiotics, use bleach. We were trying to kill off almost everything. We saw everything as being hostile if it wasn't the human cell. But this is not true. The human cells don't survive well without so much of this supporting microbiome. Well, doing a little more research, I come across people who seem to believe that it was possible to restore a broken gut microbiome by using diet. That the critters, the organisms that I need, that live inside me, that are part of my health and my thought process and all, chances are the COVID had only damaged the population. It had not completely exterminated it. It probably had allowed a lot of other nasty things to kind of grow up and push stuff back into the crannies. Well, when I switched, and I started by taking a pre and probiotic, not just a probiotic, a supplement, and the effects from that were rapid. It was almost 24 hours, and we tried this with Ellen too, and so we were both doing it, so we could at least compare notes. How you feeling, and see. She had the same reaction to it. It was pretty rapid. That she started to feel better. Well, so then this whole idea of microbiome diet. All right, what this means is that instead of feeding Bill when I'm cooking in the kitchen, I got to worry about feeding the thousands of microbes that live inside me and make sure they're happy. And they don't necessarily live on cheeseburgers. I can, but they don't. And so things like fiber, okay, it's incredibly important. Our American diet is horribly lacking in fiber. Everything is ultra-processed. And so fiber comes basically, from the skin on an apple, the skin on a potato, that you're eating things pretty much whole. You're not removing the pieces of the grain, before you cook with it, that the grain is being eaten whole. All right, so fiber is a major part of this. Humans don't really have the capacity to digest fiber. Yeah. Our guts don't do it well. And so the fiber that goes into us isn't actually directly to feed us. It's actually feeding the microbiome. That's what a lot of these critters feed on, is fiber. Rubbish. It's also real good for your system and helps keep your guts cleaned out and so on. Little scrub brushes. Yeah. Well, then there's a whole other group, and they feed on polyphenols. Polyphenols are mostly those brightly colored agents that we find in foods like black raspberries, blueberries, red cabbage, red onions. Some things that aren't red, like pecans. Pecans are loaded with polyphenols, and so is coffee. Coffee is good for you. Now, I don't know about the sugar. And if you're using artificial creamers, no, that stuff's Elmer's glue. I wouldn't bother with it. But the coffee itself is a heavy polyphenol content, and that stimulates gut microbiome. That's what these guys eat. Humans can't eat coffee. I mean, there's nothing hardly in coffee other than the caffeine, if you're not dosing it, all right, that we're getting a charge out of. Mostly, my organism is picking up caffeine molecules, and I'm waking up. It's the reason that I'm alive in front of the camera this morning. 5 cups. Okay, well, Yeah, but the polyphenols are feeding creatures that live in us. So they're getting benefit from the coffee that we didn't know about. So this is a polyphenol thing. There's fiber. Then there is the amount of plants being consumed in the diet. The plants and the fruit is also incredibly important within this. Okay, but these you want to be consuming at least 30 different plants every week. Now, I'm not saying you got to eat the whole head of cabbage. No. But, you got some red cabbage, you got some pecans there, you eat some whole grains and so on. Try to look at your meals, and I mean, worry about your caloric content and all that. Definitely great idea. But you want to look at the meals to see, is there enough fiber here? Is there enough plant material in this meal? Is there enough polyphenol in this meal? Have I avoided the ultra-processed foods, which generally tend to feed negative colonies in the gut biome? Okay, so basically, the average American diet of fast food, ultra-processed food, and all this totally set America up for going into depression and anxiety from a virus that wiped out the gut biome. Because if you have an average American diet, your gut biome was already ailing because you weren't feeding it what it needed to remain healthy. And the gut biome is controlling how you think. I know this is a rough one. I don't believe most Americans really want to believe that microbes can affect their thinking, but I'll tell you what, it's pretty much the whole picture. In the case of the virus, in the case of COVID, it affected the way people thought directly. Okay, so viruses often do mind control trick. Rabies, I've said all this before, okay, causes the organism to become aggressive, and the virus accumulates in the saliva, so the organism bites and spreads the virus. The common flu, a virus, we all know it. Most of us have had it. Some of us get shots for it every year. That virus, when we contract it, it causes us to feel extraordinarily social in the first 24 hours before the symptoms set in. Why? So we go out, go to the bar, and start coughing on our friends or talking to everybody, or kissing people or doing whatever we're doing, so we can spread the virus. So viruses actually do control human thought. COVID was no exception, okay? It created a state of anxiety, and definitely a very agitated state where people would go about yelling, screaming, spreading saliva, and so on. It's truly a lot of the crazy riots that occurred early on in that were probably as much responsible from a reaction to a virus as they were from a reaction to social issues. Probably. None of this will ever be proved. It was like after the Spanish flu. That was a terrible epidemic in World War I as a virus, okay? After the Spanish flu, it was never studied and never diagnosed, but starting in the 1920s, we had all these cases of what we called sleeping sickness. And it was most likely a reaction to something that the Spanish flu virus had done to people that existed in a long haul state. Hear that scream? That is a new noise. I'm going to suspect it's a baby myna bird, and it's looking for mom to feed it, dad to feed it. That's probably what that is, but that's a strange noise. I don't recognize it. Worries me when I hear new noises around here, Yeah, so Yeah, so it messed with all of us. Most of us were probably already partially susceptible to this situation to begin with. I certainly was. But the reaction to changing my diet after, it was extraordinary what happened with the long haul. Really, this is serious. I thought I was going to end up having to live that way for the rest of my life, and I wasn't liking it at all. This has been a complete reversal. Yeah, I just had 73rd birthday. I feel healthier and better today than I did 3 years ago on my 70th. Hey, what do you know about that? Hang loose, all. Aloha.